Welcome back to The Power of the W. In this episode, I chat with my friends Ian, Scott, and John Hawley. Ian and John are elementary school principals here in the Quad Cities. Their passion for education and deep care for their students truly shines through in everything they do. With parents getting ready to send their kids back to school, Ian and John share insights on how parents and caregivers can make a real impact in a child's education. And if you're like me, you're thinking, but how do I find time? Life is busy, right? Well, John and Ian share small, everyday actions that you can do to build a strong school-family partnership and that can make an impact on your students' education. Whether you're a seasoned schooled parent or sending your little one off for the very first time, this episode will leave you feeling encouraged, equipped, and empowered to walk alongside your child on their learning journey. Welcome to the Power of the W podcast, a space where we inspire, educate, and celebrate the incredible strength and resilience of women from all walks of life. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories, experiences, and insights of amazing women who are making their mark in the world. From personal development and career success to health, wellness, and entrepreneurship and beyond, we're here to uplift, empower, and fuel your journey to greatness. So get ready to embrace the power of the W. So school is getting ready to start for you guys soon. How was your summer, and how do you guys mentally prepare as principals for the school year?
So I think actually I would flip that question because, the average principal and teachers alike, school and educating students is always on our mind. So it's not turning off our brain, or it's not turning on our brain, it's turning off our brain and trying to have a few weeks where we're just enjoying our family, enjoying life, and getting away from it and refreshing us, right? But the average principal is thinking about school constantly. How can I help our school improve our systems? What do our teachers need? What do our students need? How can we improve? Looking at data from years past, to find out, okay, where do we need to improve? Where are we growing a lot and keep that going, and where aren't we? But it was nice to have a couple of weeks. I have two adult daughters, and one came home from the Southwest and the other from Texas, and it was just a really good time to spend with them. And we had a week with friends just up at a cabin. So you get away, and it's nice.
Yeah, and sometimes there is a little bit of guilt to that too, where you feel like, if I'm not thinking about school, am I letting something go, the planning, but you really have to try hard. And John and I live right next to each other, and so when our wives can attest that we talk school a lot, and sometimes they will just simply let us go. They'll just let us talk. But it's very true. But we're at the end of our summer. We're starting registration in the schools, and that my kids don't go back until for another couple of weeks. But sports have kind of rounded out. Now we're kind of looking towards the next year with that. So we've got a kind of a lull right now. But it was a good summer. But it's over. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
It goes by quick.
Yes, it does. So
Here in Rock Island, it does.
quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people who are not from this area, the Rock Island Milan School District is modified year-round. So they're the first school district in the Quad Cities to start first.
Yes.
So you guys are August
5th is when the
Students.
5th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Students first day.
So
Yep.
their summers are very quick.
Yep.
In your guys' experience, what does it really mean to empower a child's education?
Well, I think really allowing them to grow and find some of the things that they're kind of good at and build off of those things. So empowering them means that to allow them to fail, and that can be hard to do as a parent, as a teacher, as a principal sometimes. But when they do, giving them the proper support so that they know that you're going to be there the next time, that you'll help them through this problem and we'll think it through. So that's really hard sometimes, but empowering them is giving them the right to really own their own education, their own learning. And that can be hard for some students, but that's really what we're trying to do, is to get them to own their learning.
Well, just building on that is when you do something hard,
Yeah.
that's when you get pride. And so allowing them to struggle, I think the students who don't get a chance to struggle, that a parent, or we do it as well. I've talked to teachers who are like trying to save a child that's struggling.
Yep.
I think that we're doing a child a disservice when we do that. And that's a fine line. Parents have such a fine line, and the balance is so hard between I'm going to help my child or I'm going to support my child. And you can go too much either direction.
Right.
Yep.
I cannot get involved enough, and now my child is struggling too much, and they're on their own, and now they start to feel defeated. They start to lose confidence in themselves. I can come in and solve too many problems, and then when I do that, I just end up with a child later on who can't solve problems.
Right.
And they're going to need me my whole life. And so we just always have to keep in mind that empowering means I'm giving them the power to do that. I'm not giving myself the power to do it for them.
Yes.
That's great.
Homework has changed a lot over the years. So if you go back to when I was in school, and this is, right, I'm dating myself, back to the 70s and 80s, there were many times where we were sent home with homework that we had no idea how to do, and we had to figure out how to do it.
Yep.
There's been so much research on the impact or the effect of homework that we don't do that anymore. Our students have been taught the things they're doing. They shouldn't be learning something on their own.
Yep.
So it's reinforcing and practicing what they've been doing in their classes. So I think asking questions is the greatest contribution parents can make. So if you're not quite sure what to do, keep probing, keep asking that child questions, because in the end, they're likely to know it. And the other thing is relax.
Yes.
Because if they don't know it and they're still struggling and you're struggling, they come back to school, the way we grade is very different than the way it used to be. It used to be, well, that's it. Sorry, kid, you didn't get it.
Yep.
And now that our teachers are going to support that child to try to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of talked about it, but obviously as parents, we're all very busy. Like, I try to be involved as much as I can, but like, I work, the kids are exhausting, like, I'm tired, like, I don't make it to like every school function, but I try to be involved. But like, what is some advice that you can like give to parents who feel like they just are too busy?
I'll take a stab at that.
That's a tough question.
It really
it's
is.
a very good question.
Because it varies. So engagement can mean so many different things. And oftentimes we look at engagement like it's something that we can measure and say, okay, well, they showed up to this many of our family events, or they're present a lot. That's not the only way you can engage. Let's circle back to what we were talking about with asking the questions and communicating. Like, those are things that the parents can be involved with that are low impact, but you're also going to be engaged in your son or daughter's education. So that was an idea that I was thinking about, is that engagement doesn't have to be just showing up, and being at the school, on the school. You can be engaged in a bunch of different ways.
I think that's good though, because I do think a lot of parents feel like if they're not going to like every event or doing that they're like not involved.
Right.
So.
Right.
You got anything?
Well,
John?
I think the only thing I would add to that is life is busy. In America today, life is busy. And we as educators understand that for families, I think from my standpoint of being a grandpa is be present when you are there.
Yeah.
Like the time that you do have with your child is to make sure to spend time and connect with that child. The bottom line for all of our success, students, adults, is relationships. And if you have really strong relationships with adults, you're likely to have a very successful life. And so if you don't have quantity of time, then make sure you're having high quality time with what you do have.
Agree.
Yeah, that's a good one too. What are like the common challenges you guys see families facing in supporting their child's education?
I would go back to the question we just asked. It is busy. I'm a parent and I'm working 2 jobs. I'm a single parent, or we're 2 parents and my spouse is working first shift and I'm working second shift, and just juggling everything. How to manage those types of situations is different for every family. Once again, from our educational viewpoint, is we want to support you however we can. And if sometimes we have to work to find transportation for a family, or We need to help find resources for a family. Like, schools do so much more than they used to.
Yes.
And we want to be part of helping your family, not just leaving you out on an island so you're trying to figure everything out on your own. I guess I want to share this with parents. At the Center for Math and Science, for every child that misses 18 days or more, we meet over the summer. We have a half hour or so meeting with those families. And it's not, we don't want the theme of those to be, hey, it's our way or the highway. Hey, you have to do this.
Yeah.
It's supportive. So here's what I want families to know. In our first year that we did that, there were five families who talked about that they were splitting up, they were divorcing at different times throughout the year, but these were all cases that we didn't know anything about. Our counselor didn't know it, our teacher didn't know it, our administrators didn't know it. So that child is coming to school every single day thinking about the stress from home and isn't talking to anybody about it. Nobody knows about it. And that breaks my heart that this child is going through school every day and not feeling supported. And so we just simply sit in those meetings and ask, oh, we want to support you. How can we support you? And that's the way we are.
And what we would see is the 18 days, on the surface. But if you didn't hold those meetings, if you didn't make those phone calls, if you didn't inquire or become curious about the situation, you would never know. You would never know. And a lot of kids are really good at hiding some of those things that are really affecting them.
Right.
And they show up in different ways through their behavior, but some of them are very good at just kind of internalizing it. And we're talking about kids that are 5 through 12 in our buildings.
Right.
So it's really important, like you were talking about, to really communicate about those things. Try to find out more, because there might be something more at play. And we have resources to offer.
Or we may know of resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Know who to talk to about those resources. Absolutely. Yep.
And I want to remind parents too that when we talked earlier about the partnership that we need to have. Well, and part of that partnership is, and I tell our teachers this all the time, the parent knows the child best.
Absolutely.
They know their interests, their likes, their strengths, their weaknesses, all the things about the child.
Yep.
But I also want parents to know we're the educators and we know education better. My wife used to talk about that. We have 2 daughters, and her experiences with 2 daughters. And she would tell our friends this. John's experience is he has taught or been an administrator to thousands of students. He's gone to school for these things. He's gone to more school for these things. He reads books constantly about how to educate children. Like, trust them.
Yeah.
We're going to trust you that you know your child better than we do, and I hope that you will trust us that we know school better than you, but we need to work together.
Yeah.
So be comfortable sharing. We're a supportive environment. We're not my way or the highway environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you wish more parents knew about how their attitudes towards learning in school affect their children?
I think that different isn't bad, because their experience with school, like we were talking about, school and education has evolved, and it is much different. When we talk about growth a lot more, we talk about homework in a different way, and because your experience was one way doesn't mean that your child's experience is going to be the same. And that's why we see a lot that there's a generational thing where we have parents or guardians that don't want to come through our doors because they had such a negative experience. I would contest, and I've been in John's building, I've been in most of the elementary schools in Rock Island, it's very welcoming, extremely welcoming. Everybody's wide open to communication. Things are a little different. And just because it is different doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. And so those are some of the things I just don't want people to stay out of our buildings because of the experience that they've had.
Well, and I also think kids pick up on like how you're feeling, and I feel like if you have a negative attitude towards it, that also kind of passes down to the kid, and then they have a negative feeling about it. So
I have a great story to follow up on that. When I was at the high school level, the greatest turnaround I've ever seen in a student or 2 students. I was at the high school level, and we had 2 sisters who were both in high school, both failing miserably in school. One from a distance and very quiet and not coming to school. The other one, volatile and getting in trouble a lot and having a lot of behaviors. And we had a lot of meetings with mom and really developed a partnership. But mom decided to go back to school to get her GED. And as soon as she enrolled in that and made that learning important in her life, I mean, I don't want to say it was overnight, but both of those girls who's in their family never had anything past a high school, and many people in their family didn't even have a high school diploma, both of those girls went on to either get community college degrees or four-year university degrees. I mean, it just switched. And so, yes, I do believe that the parents, I'm not saying every parent has to go back to school and do that, but if you have the right mindset about learning, that has a huge impact on students.
You guys have talked about this the whole time about how, communication is important. What are the most effective ways that schools and families can build a strong communication and trust? Is it going back to like what you said is, just like trust that we know, what's best educationally for your child?
Well, I think anytime you enter into a relationship, there are, like even in my being a neighbor to Ian, there are strengths that Ian has, and there are strengths that I have, and we want to work together. And if you just go in with that mindset, that I go into the mindset with every child that the parent they have the best intentions with their child, and they want the best for their child. If things may not be going well with the child, right? And so we get stressed out as parents about that. And so I trust parents that that's where they're coming from. And I hope that parents will trust that we're coming from that same mindset, that we want what's best for that child and we care about that child. We love, I can tell you, I love all 460 students we have. Some are doing great and that's easy, and some are struggling and that's hard. My parents had 4 children. Some were easy. I was hard, but they still love me and keep working. So.
And you'll be there, the consistency, right? So that's the one thing too, is that you have to know that you trust that they will follow through and be consistent in what they say they will do, they'll do. And I think that's something that we do pretty well in our respective buildings, and I think across the district, is what we say we'll do, and we'll follow through with that. So if I make you a promise that I'm going to follow up with that email, or I'm going to contact so-and-so, you're going to get a phone call back or an email back. That's going to happen. And that builds trust. Every time that you make that connection back, every time that you come through on a promise you make, you're building trust. Every time. But we're sitting here talking about, from the educational standpoint, what about the YW? What about the YW? Huh? We're all talking about our schools, and what about some of the things? Some of these questions also apply to what you do.
Yes.
And your role, and what your organization does.
I mean, wait, put me on the spot.
Yes, he did.
I'm the one asking the questions, man. I agree with a lot of what you said. Just having being transparent, being just honest about things, and just having like that two-way communication. We have childcare in our building, and I think they do an amazing job of communicating well with parents. So.
Well, we can give a little bit of a story, because that childcare, when we met to kind of set this up, there was a couple of kids that we saw from our buildings there that were coming through. That's a great relationship that we have, that we've been building and years, and we're talking about all ages too. The daycare is for the younger, but I mean, you also have a teen program that you guys are really fostering, and that's getting a little bit bigger too. But we've got Rock Island kids, Rock Island students that are absolutely involved.
Yeah, and to go back to like what you guys said is, if it's not something that you guys can personally help, there's a lot of resources.
Across the Quad Cities.
Across the Quad Cities. And a lot of parents aren't aware of them. So please ask your child's school, because they will be able to connect you to some amazing organizations like the YWCA. So
well, and I think one of the most difficult things for any parent, right? Every parent wants to feel like I've got it together and things are going great in my family, and it's just so hard to go to somebody else.
It is.
Especially a school official and say, look, my family has needs and I need your help. That is hard to do. I acknowledge that it's hard, and I just hope parents will realize schools today in Rock Island are very different, and we care about you, and we care about your family, and we want what's best. And
yeah. And times are hard. Like, you are not alone. There are a lot of people that are struggling with different things. So.
And speaking to that, I know both of our buildings have a market, have a pantry.
Yep.
Our TJ Market and remind me.
The
Tornado
Table.
Tornado Table. But both of us, those are for our families.
Right.
You come in when you need it. We schedule it. It's every other week for us. We have fresh fruits and veggies there. It's not. There's no shame here.
Yeah.
We want to feed we want to feed our community if we can, and they bring it to us because we are a focal point within the community. Our schools are a focal point in our community, and we love that. We love being that spot where they can come and get a basic need fulfilled like that, because we know that in a roundabout way, once those basic needs are fulfilled, they can engage in the learning. They can grow educationally.
Yeah. And any question about communication today is hard because it's not personal very much anymore. It's all done through the internet and texting and different things. And I'm open to what is the best way to communicate with families, because I think sometimes there are so many avenues to communicate that it's almost paralyzing to the average person. I don't want all this stuff coming everywhere.
Yeah.
But from our end, we're just trying to get the message out, and we hope you get one of them.
Yes.
So,
well, it is hard because like you said, you might have someone who works nights or works during the day, and no time is the perfect time for everyone.
Right.
So it's like, you do have to have so many multiple ways to communicate.
Right.
But,
and the timing of the messages when we send them out, we don't want to be too early in the morning. We don't want to be too late at night. And so that really matters. I mean, I've had parents through my remind messages just put on their stop. All right, I need to slow down a little bit.
They're like, and then you do have some parents that feel like you're communicating too much, and then you have some that feel like you're not communicating enough.
So
and it's like,
find that happy
it's
medium.
really hard.
I just had a parent say about, I don't remember if it was the satisfaction survey or the 5 essential survey, but they thought, oh my goodness, you and all the other principals, and this was a parent who's got children in multiple buildings. Like, that was way too much. Well, but my answer was, but we had across the district, about 95% success.
Yeah.
And yes, this was a parent who I'm sure as soon as they received the survey, filled it out. And so they're receiving all these things after they've already done it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, maybe we have to find a way that when you've done it, you don't get another message.
Yeah.
Somehow you're off the list.
Well, you're off the list, right?
Yeah.
So just to kind of wrap things up, if you could give one piece of advice to any parent who listens to this, what would it be about empowering their child's education, or even just heading into this school year?
I think a lot of us are on social media, and there are two videos that you see, a lot of videos on the same topics. One is chores. I think as you're leading into the school year, there's one Instagram reel that talks about a Harvard study. I haven't read the Harvard study. I'm hoping that's true. That a lot of children's confidence comes from doing chores at home and having responsibilities. So in the time that you have, and then continuing through, is make sure that your children have chores, cleaning their room, doing dishes, shoveling the walks if you have a sidewalk. Whatever those chores are, builds responsibility and confidence. And then the other, which going back to our question about how tough life is, in 2025. Is to eat meals as a family as often as you can. There's a lot of research that says when you eat as a family, that child builds self-esteem, they build confidence, they build trust, they have a sense of family. In my family growing up, I was very fortunate. We ate every meal together. And I know that's not possible, but if you're a family that can only meet 3 days a week and you're all together, then by golly, hopefully you'll eat together. And the other benefit is, like in my case, I grew up in a family where my father was a college professor, and we had books all over our house. And I said, I'm not reading all those books. But I was in an environment where I was eating every night with my family, and my family was using vocabulary, and they were talking about politics, and they were talking about the world, and they were talking about current events. They were talking about school. They were talking about my behavior.
Yeah.
I think those two things really benefit parents. And then lastly, is just to talk about the excitement you have for your school being, or for your child being in school this year, and that you hope it's going to be a great year.
So I'm going to piggyback on almost all those things. The first one, you were talking about just being consistent. So those chores, right? And I hope my kids are listening because we're definitely getting back on the chore train.
I've teased Ian about, hey, your son here is in 7th grade. Why is he not mowing? Get that boy out mowing.
He started to. He just does the front yard, but we're working towards it. It's growth.
Yes.
We're working on growth towards it.
I got my 6-year-old doing chores, and now I can say, listen, I talked to 2 experts, and they said that this is good for your academic success. So
Did you hear she called us experts?
Well,
we haven't been talking that long, have we?
one expert will say that.
And she'll let the listeners decide
Yes,
who
I'll
the
let
expert
you
is.
decide.
Right. Oh,
No,
my
that
goodness.
consistency is a
Yeah.
big thing. Rolling into the new school year, just being consistent with a lot of things, and chores is a great example.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to the family meals. So our family's very busy. We are going a lot. They have a lot of things. My kids play a lot of sports, and they do a lot of. They're involved in a lot of different things. So for us to get together is a big deal. But this summer, we've really tried to make that a point. So we are going out, and we go out to eat together. And we have had. I've got 3 kids that are at much different stages in their lives right now. But to see them laugh together, and it's really cool because we don't always get that at home. Everybody's in their room, or they're off with their friends, or whatever it is. So to get to sit down with them for an hour and listen to them talk to each other, sometimes nice and sometimes not so nice, but at least they're talking to each other and they're laughing and having a great time. So I absolutely
with
attest
no
to that.
TV, no phones, no tablets,
Yep.
none of that.
But actually listening to one another
Right.
and responding to one another. And we got to do this a lot this summer. I tried as much as we possibly could. And it was pretty neat because my oldest is going off to school. And so to see her interacting with all of
Yeah.
us and knowing that our window with her is
Yes,
getting a
it's-
lot smaller, it was neat. It was really, really neat. So yeah, the family meals thing is awesome.
I guess I would add one more thing as you were talking. I was thinking about routines and schedules.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
start to build a schedule so that school is a priority in your home in the evening whenever possible. And you might, and a really big one is to say we're going to do the homework before we have any media time.
Yeah.
So in that schedule, try to keep that as consistent as possible from when we're going to eat, when we're going to do our homework, when we can let them go and have some fun and play or have social time or whatever. And that bedtime is really important. So creating a schedule and creating those routines, they help students be successful too. They won't like it. They won't want to have a schedule because they're scheduled all day long.
Yep. Yep.
But those are important.
But eventually, like you said, it'll become a routine, and then it's just, you
Yep.
know, they know what to expect. This is
Yeah.
what we do every night, you know.
And we used to call it, when our girls were growing up, we called it brain time. You're going to develop your brain at night just as you do at school. And then when they said, well, we don't have homework, I said, well, that's all right, read a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to develop our brains.
Yep.
And my wife and I would do the same thing. We'd read a book or we'd do something.
Well, and to go to that point as well, to build on that point is we are guilty of staring at our phones quite often as well.
Right.
And so to put those down,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
that's a big part of it too, because they will emulate what they see as well.
Yes.
And so putting those phones down, and we don't always have to have our phone on us all the time. As much as we think
Yeah.
we're important, we're not that important. And so to put those
Right.
things down, and to really show them that, hey, it's okay to put these things down. Let's make these other things a priority. I think that's
Right.
an important thing.
That's good.
It's really hard for, I know for my family.
Yeah.
So we're still working on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else you guys want to add?
How much time do you have? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I
We'll
think
make
John and I
this
could talk
like
for a
a
while.
weekly segment.
Oh yeah. What would it be called?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I know we've had a lot of teachers in the building trying to work. We have a lot of construction at the Center for Math and Science. So when you come in for the first time, if you haven't seen it, it's going to look quite a bit different. And some are for aesthetics and some are for safety. But it's fun. You know, this time of year, it's fun to see teachers coming in, getting their rooms ready. They're thinking about school. They're excited. They're asking about their class list.
Yeah.
We're the same way as principals. We are we're just really excited to start a new year and see, kids grow up, and it's fun to see them grow from year to year. So,
and I think that's what we are all looking forward to, is when the kids get back in the building. We have a lot of planning, we're doing a lot of meetings, and we're doing all these things, but when the kids get there, it's game on. That's what we do this for.
Right.
Yeah.
To have the kids in the building and to see them smiling, to see them laughing, to see them engage in some of the things that maybe we had set up during the summer, or we had collaborated with our staff with as a new initiative that we're going to try this year, to see them that's what we do it all for.
Yeah.
And it's pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to all that, and I know John is too.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you guys have a terrific year. And I hope, for parents who are listening, they find this helpful and useful, and just remember, because I'm so guilty of this, stop putting so much pressure on yourself, and, the times you are involved, be present. That was really good too. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, we had a great time.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Power of the W podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. For more updates, follow us on social media or visit our website at www.ywcaqc.org. We'll catch you next time right here on the Power of the W.